What's going on, college football fans? Welcome back to the first and long college football show. I'm your co host, as always, Marcus. And to my right is my other co host, Mason. How are you, bud?
Doing good, man. Trying to dig through the weeds here to find y'all some good picks, and I think we got a pretty good lineup this week. Not a great slate of games, but we saw last week in week 2 that doesn't mean that we won't have good football games because last week was upset central. We could be in for another storm in the college football landscape this week. Super excited for it. We got some good ones. We've been breaking them down all week. Invite you guys to go check out our 4 main games of the week and see those breakdowns. After all that research, after looking at the lines and seeing what else is floating around out there, we've got you guys probably about, I'd say about 15 picks total. So we're ready to break this down with you.
Absolutely. This is Between the Lines. This is our weekly betting guide, week 3, college football season 2024. Here we go. Um, the game that everybody's talking about this week, obviously, is LSU at South Carolina. And so we'll lead off with that. We'll talk through these big games first and talk about any picks that Mason or I may have on these first ones. And guys, we've got a description, we've got a link in the description video. If you'd like to come on the show and talk some of these lines with us, we'd love to have you on. Or you could just comment in the comment section and we'll jump to it whenever we see the notification there. So y'all don't be shy. Come on the show or let us know what your picks are for the weekend. And who knows, we may hop on that train with you because I do feel like it's a little bit slim pickings this week, Mason. There's plenty of games to bet on, right? But it's a lot of odd matchups this week and just ones that make me nervous. And I don't want to give you guys a bunch of picks that I don't feel like are going to do well. And so far this year, guys, I'm 11-4, and I have one push to my record. Mason, you're 7-6. Is that right? With one push, is that correct?
Uh, I am +2
Or nine
overall.
and nine
So
and six, 9-6. I'm
uh,
sorry.
t- sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. It's hard to gauge because I'm technically 10, 8-1 with one push. So
Okay,
10-8, basically, with a push.
10-8. Mason's 10-8-1. I am 11-4-1 for the year. And my point being, I don't want to give you guys picks that I feel like are losers, obviously, right? I've literally, these picks that I'm giving you right now, I just put money on them. So I left myself a little bit of money in my account for anything that we may run across in this show that I feel like I got to go run and bet right now. But let's jump into it. LSU at South Carolina. Do you have a pick on this game, Mason? Do you have a bet on this game?
I've got a couple of bets on this game. So I found a 6.5 out there, and I'm betting. I'm laying the points with LSU in 6.5 points. I think they can win by at least a touchdown. This line opened at 11, as high as 11 in some places, and I don't think that I've seen enough from South Carolina to warrant them not being able to cover really close to 11. LSU being able to cover 11. We've seen South Carolina look really good on the defensive line so far, but most of that has been in the passing game. Their pass rush has been excellent, best in the country so far against inferior opponents. I don't think that Kentucky is all that great. I think that what we saw last week was more, gave us more evidence of how bad Kentucky is than how bad South Carolina or how good South Carolina actually is. So because of that, I think that LSU is going to be able to score some points in this game. I think that they're going to be able to win by at least a touchdown. Now, there is expected to be some weather in this game. That concerns me a little bit for LSU to cover by at least a touchdown because we've seen the deficiencies that they've had in the run game, and if it's raining heavily, you know that they're going to want to keep the ball on the ground. So that does give me a little bit of concerns, but because of that, I do like the under 48.5 in this game as well. We've seen South Carolina struggle to score points. We know that the offense has sputtered in the past 2 weeks. I mean, against Old Dominion, they hardly scored anything. I think LaNorris Sellers is looking better, and he's getting better as weeks progress. But I don't think that he's going to, be able to score 20 or so points in this game. I really think that this game is kind of played in the teens to lower 20s. So I really feel like this game kind of stays below 40 overall, and the line is set at 48.5. So I feel pretty good about the underplay here.
So you say it's at 48.5 now?
Yes.
All right, I'll jump on the under with you at 48.5. Already had a play on this game. Look, I've been on South Carolina all week. If you watch the previews this week, guys, I liked South Carolina pretty much all week. But the line wasn't 6.5 whenever I was liking South Carolina. It was 7, 7.5, 8. It's made its way down, as you said, throughout the week. We've crossed that threshold of 7 points, and I'm going to have to jump on that LSU line now. I like it at 6.5. So we got two locks there together, brother. LSU minus 6.5, South Carolina. LSU at South Carolina under 48.5. South Carolina has no offense. I mean, they don't at this point. It's a work in progress. Construction cones are up. Men at work. It's, and I'm not talking the rock group, right? This is not a good offense. They haven't even accumulated 300 yards in a game yet total, and it's not like they've played Georgia and Alabama the first 2 weeks. So,
right.
With that being said, I know.
And I look at, I mean, I do think Kentucky's defense is pretty good. Which of course they faced South Carolina faced Kentucky last week and didn't score a ton of points. But how many less points will South Carolina put up if LSU is actually extending drives on offense, which is something that Kentucky could not do? So I really feel like this is going to be. I feel like when South Carolina gets into the red zone, the kicker is going to be doing more work than the quarterback is. And that's why, I think that you're able to kind of win the possession game that way. LSU, much more explosive. So they're going to be able to score points. Maybe don't make as many trips to the red zone, but make it worthwhile whenever they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weather certainly plays a factor in this weekend as well. How about the Alabama at Wisconsin game, Mason? Do you have a play in that one?
I did not bet this one, but I'm leaning Alabama in the points.
I do have a bet on this game. So follow me here. I think Alabama's definitely going to be able to move the football this week. And I have a hard time believing that the offensive line is going to come out 2 weeks in a row and did what they did last week. I don't believe in Wisconsin really as a whole at this point. But I've heard a whole lot of hubbub about this Alabama secondary and how it's nobody's made them pay the price yet this year. And I don't think Wisconsin is able to make them pay the price, but I do think Wisconsin is able to put up some points. And with the total being as low as it is, I'm going to take the over 49.5 in this game.
I think you 49.
49. That sounds good right there. Let me erase this 0.5 here with my handy dandy number 2 pencil. And see, that's why I write in pencil in case Mason finds me a better line. I just think that there's going to be a little more scoring in here than what people think. Wisconsin, I know they've got it in them to play a little bit better offense. We did a deep dive on this team in the offseason, and I know they've got some playmakers. I'm not saying they're round one NFL talent playmakers, but they did get some playmakers in there. And, theoretically, Wisconsin's style should be able to be successful or at least move the ball some against this Alabama secondary that's very, very young and seems really, really undisciplined at this point. Alabama looks like a lot different football team right now than whenever Nick Saban was on the sidelines just a short time ago. And the defense had been kind of slipping for a couple years anyway. So give me the over 49 in Alabama at Wisconsin. How about Arizona at Kansas State, Mason? Do you have a play on that game?
I do have a play. I got the Wildcats winning this one.
You got them winning and covering?
Well, they're both Wildcats, so yeah. So I'm taking Kansas State here. I got a 7-point spread here. I'm taking Kansas State. I'm laying the points. This line opened up at 8.5 and was bet down. So to me, I really feel like this is going to be more like a 9-point win for Kansas State, maybe 9, 10, 9 to 14 points, I think is where Kansas State will end up on this one. Kansas State, their defense has had 9 sacks in 2 games so far. That's good for 6th in the country. And on the other side, on the offensive side of the football, they haven't given up a sack yet. And Arizona has had 1 sack so far through 2 games. So I really feel like this game is going to be won in the trenches for Kansas State, more of a physical team, a little bit more disciplined team. And also, if T-Mac is less than 100%, give me these points all day. I think that Kansas State's going to be able to go out, make a good showing. I think that Kansas State has a much better coaching staff with more continuity along the coaching staff. And I think Chris Kleiman's really one of the most underrated coaches in college football. And for that, and potentially a breakout game for Avery Johnson that we're all waiting on, I feel like this is bound to go Kansas State's way.
I think you're on the right side of that. The more and more I look at that game, I think you're on the right side of that, and that goes against my rule. And I thought I made that rule up, but then I watched Mr. Pate the other day and realized that he had the same rule, and it made me think differently. But the Big 12 is so competitive that any line over 7, I want to take the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I think you're correct. With the way the line opened up, a much bigger gap, and it's shortened down, people betting Arizona. And they're betting Arizona because of Noah Fafita, right, and Tetaroa McMillan, if y'all don't know who T-Mac is. But T-Mac had 300 and something receiving yards in the first week of the year, and everybody said, oh, here we go. T-Mac's ready to go. He didn't really play a whole lot in the offseason with a hurt foot. He had a little surgery or whatnot. And then last week he has 2 catches on the back of a milk carton. Where did he go? Missing persons. So, yeah, man, too much inconsistency for this Arizona team. They score 60 points, and then they scored 22 last week, against Northern Arizona. Too much inconsistency for me in that one. And too much inconsistency for the Kansas State defense, too. I got to see their defense. Their defense was supposed to be a whole lot better than what it's played this year. Maybe this is the game they start figuring it out.
Are you betting that one or no?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I think you're on the right side, but I'm gonna sit on the sidelines on this one. All right. So how about Notre Dame at Purdue? You got to play on that game, Mason?
Give me the under 45.5 for Notre Dame at Purdue. I still really like Notre Dame's defense.
I got you a 47, brother.
Oh.
How about that?
Holy cow. I'll take that.
Yeah, because I'm with you. It's a lock, baby. It's a lock unity. Under 47.
Under 47. All right. Perfect. Even better. But my point still stands. I like it. And I like Notre Dame's defense. I think that they're still really stingy. And I think that Purdue's going to struggle to score. I don't have a ton of confidence in this offense yet. It sounds like C.J. Smith won't play in this game. He's supposed to be a big part of their offense at wide receiver. The other receiver, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's expected to come back and return. And we know the offensive struggles of Notre Dame and Riley Leonard, so we can't expect them to put up 30 in this game. And I don't really see Purdue being able to score more than 20 on this defense. So to me, if you're telling me that X plus Y equals this game's going to be played in the teens. So to me, I think it's a no-brainer. Take the under here. You can maybe even bet it down to a 45 and feel pretty good about it. 46 or 45.5, something like that. But yeah, I like the under here all day. It's honestly one of the plays I'm most confident in this week, just based on the style of play that we've seen from both of these teams so far.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to be tempted to take that Purdue plus the line. It got under 10, and I thought 10 was the threshold for me. I just felt like 10 was likely to push. That just seems like a push. to me, very, very possibly. So I had to back off of that thing. I think it's down to 9.5 in most places.
Yeah.
And I got it personally. Sometimes I go bet stuff really early in the week if I think the line's going to move, and that's one of them that I did, and I got it at 10.5. So I feel really good about that on a personal level, but not going to work for the show. All right, Mason, where do you want to go? How many more picks do you got? Because I kind of got slim pickings this week. I've got 2 more regular picks, and then I've got a money line pick for the week.
Hey, actually, I changed your number on Notre Dame and Purdue. I got 47.5. I was looking at the wrong number here at 45.5. That's what it's expected to be. But anyways, 47.5. Take the under right there. We'll take an extra half point.
I've got it at 47, Mason.
Yeah. So 47.5 though. I mean, we'll take an extra half point.
Oh, I got you. Get the extra half point. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You ready for the next one?
Yeah. What you got? How many more you got? I got 2 more picks and I've got a money line pick. So how many more you got?
I got a lot to go.
right.
Here.
Lay them on me.
Let's
go
with you on one of these. So give me Georgia. I'm taking the homer pick minus 23.5. That's a lot of points to lay. However,
you homer.
I know. Shame on me. But I think Georgia's going to be able to get up big early on this one and just kind of park the bus. I really feel like Kirby in previous matchups against Kentucky has not wanted to run the score up, right? Which kind of goes against the play here. I understand that. But when I look at Kentucky's offense, I don't see that there's a chance in hell they find the end zone. Maybe a couple of kicks, and if you're telling me Georgia's held under 30, I'm calling you a liar. So to me, I really like the play of Georgia and all the 23.5 points. Give me all those points. And then I'm also going to play the under 45.5 because of kind of what I just mentioned. This Kentucky team can't score, especially not on a Georgia defense. And Kentucky's defense is pretty good. So I don't think that when Georgia puts in the second stringers, right, in the third and fourth quarter, I don't think that they're necessarily going to be scoring touchdowns still late in this game. So I like this game to be played in the low 40s overall. Give me the under 45.5 as well.
Nice. I like it. I see this game going 35-7. I see Georgia winning that game 35-7. That's just kind of my gut feeling right now. I'm not betting it, but what else you got? Throw me another one. I like that pick, but I got to stay on the sidelines. I'm going to try to stay disciplined this week.
I know. I said the same thing, and I started digging through these picks, and I think I found a couple of good little nuggets here. And how about the next one? Oregon gets back on track against Oregon State. This is not Jonathan Smith's Oregon State, y'all. And they were pretty good last year, even with DJU at quarterback. Somehow, with Jonathan Smith, they were able to manufacture some points. Adrian Martinez had a lot to do with that as well. But give me Oregon minus 16.5 against Oregon State. It's at Oregon State, but simply put, this is a get right game for Oregon. I think that I still really feel confident that they're a future playoff team, and they're trying to gel. A lot of new pieces, a lot of transfers coming in. The back end of the defense has struggled so far, particularly in the safety game. I think that they're going to be able to get right. They had some bad luck against Idaho. It wasn't all bad luck. They didn't play well either, but the combination of the two made that game look worse than it was. Boise State is actually a pretty good team, and I think for teams that are still trying to find themselves, trying to find an offensive identity and a defensive identity, I think it was the recipe for a closer game than it really should have been. But third time's a charm for Oregon. If you've been on the Oregon bus so far, I think I had them picked last week, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to stick with them this week. I feel like they kind of right the ship here. Got to have a lot of motivation after 2 poor performances for a team that has really national championship aspirations and hopes. I think that they get right this week and cover the 16.5 points.
They need to. That Big Ten schedule's coming up quick, and they got to get right and get things back on track. Something just doesn't look right with the Oregon Ducks right now, and I know they want to get out there and prove everybody wrong. Now, I am always worried about Oregon State just wanting this game, right? They want this game so bad. But yeah, I know Oregon State doesn't have the Jimmies and Joes to be keeping up with Oregon, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But all right, let me throw one at you. Boston College at Mizzou. Mizzou is favored by 16. I think they can easily win this by 17 or more. I'm thinking more like win it by 21.
I'm
So
with you.
I'm going Mizzou minus 16 over Boston College. This is an overreaction to Boston College beating Florida State. Florida State is not any good. We told you about it before the season started if you watched the First and Long College Football Show. And lo and behold, they're even worse than we thought. And Bill O'Brien has done a really good job at Boston College, but he hasn't played anything like the Missouri offense at this point. So give me Mizzou minus 16. I think they win it by 21. I think they win it 42-21. What do you think, Mason?
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a lock for me as well. So we are in unity on that one for a lot of the same reasons. I don't think that Boston College beating FSU was anything special. And this Missouri team, I think, is the real deal on offense and on defense. Bill O'Brien, for as good a coach as he is, he's not going to be able to coach his way through this one and keep it very close. Missouri just has the dudes, even after losing what they did on the defensive side of the football and losing their defensive coordinator. They still look really hungry on that side of the football. I think that defense is going to be really stingy, and a defense that people really aren't talking about a ton because of all the firepower they have on offense. But the defense wins this one for them, and I think that they cover the 16 pretty easily.
Yeah, I think so too. Look, Missouri doesn't have like a ton of opportunities to go out and show out this year. Their schedule's not great. I mean, there are a couple of good games. I mean, you've got Oklahoma. I know all the Missouri fans are really looking forward to that. Alabama on the schedule, but you don't have many chances to impress. And if Missouri goes out here and struggles against Boston College, it will be held against them in the court of law. Oh, well, in the court of the college football playoff. How about that? What else you got? How many more you got?
I got 3 more and then a money line sprinkle.
All right, give me one. What you got?
I'm going to take you to Oklahoma. We got Tulane facing Oklahoma. We saw Tulane last week play Kansas State pretty close. I don't think that they have much of an offense, right? And really, when you look at the OU defense, this is one of the best OU defenses we've seen under Venables so far. Couple that with the offensive line struggles for OU, I don't think that they're going to be able to score. So give me the under 46.5 in this game. I think it's going to be a really low scoring game. Just looking at what these two teams have put on tape so far, the unders have been hitting a lot anyways. In a lot of these games, they're outweighing the overs a pretty good bit. So I really like Oklahoma and their ineptitude on offense so far and their offensive struggles. I don't think that this is necessarily a get-right game for them, given how Tulane played Kansas State, which I feel like Kansas State has a similar offense right now to Oklahoma in different ways. Yeah. But I don't think Tulane's going to be able to score on this Oklahoma defense.
Well, they're going to play hard. Tulane should have won that game last week. I mean, they flat out should have won that football game. They gift wrapped that thing and handed it to Kansas State. So Kansas State should feel really, really fortunate to get out of that one with a win. But yeah, I like that. Oklahoma's got questions on offense. I mean, there's no getting around it. We talked about it in the offseason. You know, we talked about this offensive line not having depth, not having SEC level starting talent. It's gonna take a little bit, and it's gonna take some serious coaching during the season here to get Oklahoma ready for what they're about to go through. Their schedule is just absolutely brutal, and this weekend is supposed to be one of their easier games of the year, right? And it's not an easy one by any means. What do you got next?
Well, this is kind of my sicko play of the week. It's about as sick as I want to get, right?
Let's go sicko mode.
Yeah, and this is a play I've never made before. I'm taking Vandy and I'm laying the points. They're facing off against Georgia State. They're 9-point favorites. But Vandy's like a small wagon right now, right? They're a small wagon with a squeaky wheel, and I'm hearing them. I really like Pavia, I think is his name, at quarterback. He's a pretty talented quarterback, and I feel like Georgia State has taken a step back from where they've been the past couple of years. I like Vanderbilt to win and cover the 9 points. They really need this win to kind of give them any chances of making a bowl game. They got to win all 4 of their non-conference games. So I think they come out here with a little bit of fire. The game's at Georgia State, which is weird for an SEC team to be going to, a lesser non-power 4 opponent and playing them on the road. But I really like what Vanderbilt has done so far. They're 2-0 against the spread. I think that we're going to be 3-0 after Saturday.
Yeah, they pretty much just took all of New Mexico's roster from last year and just leveled up, just straight up, just leveled up, dude. So good for the Commodore fans, which are all 3 of you. Congratulations. So I'll give you one. I'll give you my last one, and then I've got a money line pick. Central Florida at TCU, and I believe this game plays on. Is it on Friday? I don't know. I can't remember if it's on Friday or not. I know one of these games. It was the Arizona and Kansas State game is on Friday, but I think this one might be.
This one's Saturday night.
It is Saturday night. Okay. Central Florida at TCU. The wrong team is favored here. TCU has done nothing to be. They've done nothing to deserve to be favored at all. I watched TCU play earlier this year against Stanford, and let me tell you something, brother. They suck. They are so bad. Stanford should have won that freaking ball game, but Stanford sucks too. That's the only problem. So, Central Florida, give me the Fighting Goose Malzoons, and the Fighting KJ Jeffersons. And I think that offense is going to run wild. I bet they'll run for 250 yards on TCU this weekend. Give me Central Florida plus 1.5. I don't even think I need it, guys. If you're,
I can get you a 1.
Okay,
for what it's worth.
Well, I want the half if they're not favored.
Oh, that's true. My mistake.
Plus
Actually,
1.5.
FanDuel has a 2.5.
What? All right, give me that 2.5.
Yep.
Give me that 2.5. My dog just looked at me like I was about to come steal her toy. Central Florida plus 2.5. The wrong team is favored here. That's going to be a win. What you got next? And then all I've got left is money line. So whatever you got.
Yeah, I kind of like that game on the money line as well for Central Florida. It's not my pick for the money line pick of the week, but it's basically a pick 'em. It's what Vegas is telling you for the most part. Give a little bit of an advantage to the home team, and that is about it. So I'm going to go with your team, your team in the Big 12, Utah. I feel confident that Cam Rising plays in this game. I think he's healthy enough to play with the laceration on his hand or whatever it was. I don't think that that's going to be a factor in this game. I think Utah's going to cover this no problem. We saw them get really close to covering last week, even without Cam Rising. They definitely would have covered with him, and I think that they're able to beat Utah State pretty handily. They're 18.5-point favorites. Give me all the points. I think that they easily win by 21 in this game. No problem. I'll take that one to the bank.
Man, it absolutely made me sick last week. That was one of my losses, was Utah and Baylor. And Utah was up, I think 22-0, I believe is what it was, in the second quarter. And Cam Rising goes out after he gets the cut on his hand, and they don't score another point, allow them to score 2 touchdowns, and I don't cover my spread. Like, man, that's just crazy. So, listen, if you bet Utah, just be ready, because Cam Rising might get hurt. I mean, that's just for all you bettors. I'm not talking to you specifically, Mason. I mean, but I'm just all you bettors out there. If you bet on Utah, they're a good bet. They cover that when Cam Rising's out there. They're a wagon For real, for real. That's why I was on him last week. And he cuts his hand and he can't come back in the game. I mean, gosh, man. What a bummer. What else you got? You down the money line?
I'm ready for the money line. You want to go ahead and serve yours up?
Give me Pitt. West Virginia at Pitt. It's the backyard brawl. Pitt minus 105 on the money line. I believe, I can't remember who was favored, but it was a 1-point spread in this game. So might as well just take the money line on it. It's basically a pick 'em, guys. So
Yep.
I'm going Pitt. West Virginia hasn't shown me anything. We talked about West Virginia earlier in the season. I already bet against them once and won. Pitt's coming off of a big win over the last couple of weeks. Came from way behind to beat Cincinnati. I don't think either one of these teams is good, but give me Pitt in the rivalry game here at home to get the dub.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
got?
Take the home team there. I've got West Virginia as a 1.5-point favorite in this game, so a little bit of plus money there for you for Pitt to win. And for my money line pick of the week, it was probably a little bit unexpected and a game that has a lot of implications, but isn't necessarily one that's on your radar. And that's Texas A&M at Florida. Huge ramifications here when you look at where Billy Napier is at, where this offense has been so far, and then also Texas A&M struggling on offense as well. Two similar teams. Give me the home team. I like Florida playing this game in Gainesville as 3.5-point dogs to be able to come out and take advantage of the defense, of the back end of the defense of Texas A&M in a way that Notre Dame couldn't, in a way that Riley Leonard couldn't. We've seen DJ Lagway now in one game. I get it. It's a small sample size. But the dude looked good. For a true freshman, he looked good. He's playing really well. I think you go out, you have to start this guy. You have to start DJ Lagway. If they come out there and roll out Graham Mertz, I'm feeling a little bit worried about the pick, but if they're struggling in this game, you know they're going to bring out DJ Lagway. So I think that he kind of saves the day here in one way or another, whether he's playing the whole game or he comes in backup duty. I think that Florida's going to be able to win this game, a much-needed win for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Give me Florida to win this game. I think 3.5 points is a little bit too much for Texas A&M as well, in an offense that hasn't showed me anything yet. Defense looks good, but it's mostly up front on the defensive line. I feel pretty confident in a young quarterback, as long as he's not getting sacked too much, to be able to take advantage of the back end of the defense, throw the ball deep. Let's see what the young freshman's got, but that's my money line pick of the week.
DJ Lagway might be the best quarterback in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be a sourpuss, to Texas A&M fans, but Connor Wigman, I mean, he hasn't done anything in his career at this point to make us believe that he's anything better than just a guy. So I got to see it with my eyes before I'm going to be able to believe it or talk about it. So, yeah, I hear you. I think that's a pretty decent pick, and I heard Billy Napier say that Lagway is getting a start. So
Cool.
that is definitely happening. He said he felt like he's ready, and he was going to be playing anyway. So, might as well get out there and get the starting reps. Said he may bring in Graham Mertz at some point throughout the game, but who knows? Who knows? But Lagway is starting. Guys, there's our picks. We put them out there for you every single week. We put them out there so that we can make record of them. So far, I'm 11-4-1. Mason 10-8-1. That's a lot of positive money. That's a lot of positive money, guys. 21-12-2. That's pretty damn
Feel
good.
pretty
for
good
the
about
show.
that. I mean, looking at around the industry in this college football talking space, there's a lot of negative going on in these best bets. So y'all come back here on Thursday nights, come win some money with us, because I think we're doing a pretty good job. And I'm 10-8-1. I was negative last week by half a game because I had a push, right? But last week I told you guys to bet the freaking house on Tennessee. I went 6 units on Tennessee, so I was technically 5 units ahead last week. And if you bet that with me, we don't count that on the show. I'm not taking an extra 5 wins, basically because I bet more units on that play. But when I feel good about a play, I'm going to tell you that. And so far, I hit really good on Miami over Florida in week 1 and Tennessee and over NC State in week 2. I didn't have like a really strong play this week for y'all, but stay tuned, and I'm gonna let y'all know when it's safe to bet the mortgage on your home and when it's not, and hopefully you guys can win some money with us.
Yeah, Josh Pate, stick that in your oodles and noodles and smoke it. That's been Between the Lines, brought to you by the First and Long College Football Show. I'm Marcus. That's Mason. We'll see you next Thursday with our best bets of the week for week 4. We'll do it all over again, and we'll talk about how we did this week. Thank you all so much for joining us, and good luck this weekend.